Next up in the list of measures of central tendency, I find this the next easiest to talk about, is median. Median is the middle score. Now, to talk about the middle score, the data must be in order first. And we've got that on the second distribution here. But we do not have data in order for the first distribution. It's pretty easy to see that I just mixed around the first four counting numbers. So putting it in order. It is actually easier to find the middle number for the second one because we have an odd number of scores coming from either side. 1, 2, the third score is going to be the median. And that is the 2. As for the first one, if we try that same approach, 1, 2, well, you don't go with more than one score. It is a single number reported. So in this case, we go halfway in between. In other words, halfway between 2 and 3 would be 2.5. Now, quite often, you're going to have distributions with a lot more scores. Putting them in order using technology is going to help. And if we knew a way to compute what the location is, then you could set up that technology to go to that location and tell you what score is in that location. Now, some textbooks will tell you that when there are an odd number of scores, to add 1 and then divide by 2. So in this case, we had 5, add 1 to that, and then divide by 2. For distribution B, it's the third score. Then they'll go on to tell you that if you have an even number of scores, that we should use something different. They're not wrong. Specifically, they would tell you to divide the number of scores by 2. In this case, we've got 4 scores in distribution A versus one higher than that. And then they tell you to go halfway between the second and third scores. Which is precisely what we did. The second score was 2, and the third score was 3. We went halfway in between. Well, you could follow that convention, but if you understand one thing, then you could use the first formula only. If we just add 1 to 4 and divide by 2, well, on the one hand, it wouldn't make sense to talk about a 2.5 score. That's just another way of saying go halfway between the second and the third score. And we would get halfway between 2 and 3 is 2.5. Now, why is mode a measure of central tendency? Well, in the first distribution, or whenever you have an even number of scores, that splits up the distribution into the lower and upper 50%. Whereas when they're an odd number of scores, it's not exact, but it's the closest that we're going to get. If we look at 2 out of the 5, 2 scores here, 2 scores here, that's 40%. Even if we included the median down here and up here, 3 out of 5 is 60%. So it's not going to be exact. Now, by the way, later on, we'll be talking about not including the median in considering that.